Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of North Kawartha Council. It's March 3rd, and welcome to the folks that are joining us live in person here today in the gallery, and to the folks that are joining us online. I would like to remind everybody that our meetings are recorded and they are uploaded to our YouTube channel. So just be aware any comments or any opinions that are expressed will be recorded and available for members of the public to hear. And before we get into the business of today's meeting, Council would like to acknowledge that we meet on the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, in particular our neighbors from Kawartha Anishinaabe and Curve Lake First Nation. We recognize and honor the original people of this place we call North Kawartha. As duly elected representatives, we follow this Indigenous practice of acknowledgement to foster respectful deliberations, thoughtful collaboration, and wise decision-making in our service to this community. And with that, I would like to ask if any member of council has a pecuniary interest with any of the matters before us today. Seeing none, we will move on. Adoption of the agenda. Can I have a mover for that? Moved by Ruth Ann, seconded by Jim O'Shea. All those in favor? The agenda has been adopted, and with that, I'm going to declare that we are going into a statutory public hearing for the purpose of hearing one zone amendment application that's before us here today. Public hearings provide an opportunity for members of the public to request relief from planning rules and regulations. It's also an opportunity for other members of the public to provide comment on those requests for relief. And while council encourages everyone to provide their comments so we can be best informed and make the best decision possible, recent changes to the Planning Act have eliminated the right of appeal. That right is specifically for the applicant, specified persons or certain agencies that have that right. And for them, there is a 20-day appeal period, which starts the day the decision is posted. And with that, then I'm going to turn it over to our planner, Laura Stone. Good morning. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Madam Mayor and members of council. This is our very first zoning bylaw amendment application of 2026. So it is ZA-01-26. The recommendation is that council approve zoning bylaw amendment application ZA-01-26 to address the merging of the purchased crown land zone and the shoreline residential zone, and thus rezone the CL parcel to shoreline residential. So in 2021, the owners of the property purchased what is noted as part 3 in my report, which is a section of crown land that runs across the length of the property. It had a crown land zone and maintained it after the purchase. The property information is 14 Fire Route 76A, roll number 1536020-203-03200. The owners are Wang. The agent is Han Cito, who is here with us today online. It is zoned shoreline residential and crown. And the official plan designation is seasonal residential. The property has frontage onto Eels Lake, and crown land is located all around the cottage with the exception of some cottages. This application was measured against the provincial planning statement that was put out by the province in 2024, and it was found to meet the intent of that document. This application was also measured against the County of Peterborough's official plan and was found to meet the intent of the official plan. And the official plan is supportive of the zoning changes. So, in conclusion, the application to rezone the portion of the property, currently crown land, to seasonal residential is consistent with the provincial planning statement and the county's official plan. It is consistent with the requirement in our comprehensive zoning bylaw to have consistent and comprehensive communities. So I would recommend that this application should be approved, and I would be happy to take questions.
All right, thank you, Laura. Okay, well, at this point, I'm going to give an opportunity for the applicant's representative, if he would like to add further information to what you've provided. Good morning, Han. It's good to see you.
Good
Haven't
morning.
seen you in a long time.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything that you would like to add to what Laura has presented, but you're free to do so.
Well, not really, Carolyn. No. The only mistake the only thing I find is we purchased in 2018, not 2021. So,
Okay.
this is,
Okay.
that's basically all. I have no objection.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that clarification. All right, so I'm going to ask if there's anybody that would like to speak on this application, either online or here in the gallery here. I'm not seeing any indication that anybody wants to speak. We did receive a written submission yesterday. Laura, if you would like to maybe speak to that.
Sure. We received a written submission from Ambrose Moran. I think seeking clarity, but generally opposed to the requirement to rezone at all. That being said, if a property has a zone associated with it and is being merged into the original property that has a different zone, particularly if it's Crown land, once it's owned by the property owner, it is no longer considered Crown land, needs to be rezoned to shoreline residential. So Mr. Moran's letter was largely seeking some information about why this is going forward. I also did receive a phone call from a neighbor just looking for clarification and was satisfied with the application.
Okay. I can provide maybe some other context too, because I'm very familiar with all of these properties down that particular shoreline. This is on Eels Lake. And years ago, there was all of these properties were accessed by a right of way, which effectively sort of bisected a lot of them. And there is a Crown portion of, there is a Crown property that is next to this particular property as well. But for some reason, and I know for Mr. Cito's property, for the Wang property, and then there's another property as well, there were sections of that right of way that were identified on surveys as a Crown land or Crown road or whatever. It was very weird. It was like these little orphan pieces, and it wasn't consistent all the way through. Not every property had it. It was just kind of a random thing. So I know we have dealt with this before with other properties that have come forward for planning relief and taking care of it. But yeah, it's a weird thing. And I don't know, it seems like Eels Lake just has weird things that happen like that.
Inclusive of the mayor.
Inclusive of the mayor, that's right. So, the weirdest of them all. So, but I mean, I think, yeah, as I said, this is just trying to tidy up sort of the loose ends. It's odd. It doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it's important that, because it's really, it serves no purpose. It's going to nowhere. There is another road that provides access to all of these properties, including that Crown piece of land that is a water access point. So that's it basically. Colin.
Yeah, so to the best of my knowledge, when a similar situation happens with shoreline road allowances, it automatically gets rezoned and folded into the property. Is there a reason that wouldn't have happened when part 3 was purchased?
Yes. So we have a provision in our, through you, Madam Mayor, we have a provision in our zoning bylaw that when a piece of property that is zoneless, like a shoreline road allowance or an unopened road allowance, when that is being purchased and merged into the purchasing property, the benefiting property, it takes the zone of the property that's benefiting from it. So a shoreline road allowance and an unopened road allowance don't have a zone. So if you were to go onto the county's GIS and click zoning, you would see that there isn't a zone associated with those parcels. In this instance, there is a zone associated with it, so that has to be cleaned up.
Okay. All right. Are there any other questions or comments on this? Jim.
Move the recommendation, Madam Chairman.
Okay. Recommendation's been firsted, seconded by the other Jim O'Shea. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor? That motion is approved. All right. Thanks, Laura. Thanks very much, Han.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Okay. And with that, I'm going to declare that we are out of statutory public hearing. And we will move on with the balance of the business items on our agenda. Good morning, please come on in. Come join the party. Okay, so, is there a county report, Jim? I was away.
There is, Madam Chairman.
Then let's hear it.
We started the meeting at 9:30. There were no deputations. There were no reports. There was no announcements or anything. There was closed session and we adjourned 22 minutes later.
That sounds like a record for county. I do have a little bit of a county report, and just that, I think I mentioned it earlier, in the year with the changes to the recycling collection, it's been uploaded to the producers. And there's been challenges, of course, and there was some discussion at the county. Anyway, the warden and I worked together with county staff and on a couple of public service announcement videos. And they're in the final stages and should be hopefully being put out for the public to see. They're going to be posted and shared shortly. So that's like, just stay tuned on that, but it's coming forward. That's really well done. It absolutely figures prominently in the footage because they came up on a Monday collection day, and it was really good to see. So anyway, stay tuned for that. But otherwise,
There was
that's it.
no report.
There's no report. We've got a county council meeting tomorrow, so stay tuned for another report at the next meeting, perhaps. Okay. Can I have a motion to receive that brief county report? Moved by Ruthann, seconded by Jim O'Shea. All those in favor? That's been received. Crowe Valley Conservation Authority report. Colin.
Yeah, so it's almost a non-report, where the sort of meat that I can publicly report on via the closed session, was the general manager's report. And then even within that report, it's that, like water levels, everything's returning back to normal. So, the general manager report wasn't exactly spicy, and it's the only thing that was publicly discussed there. So it's the closest thing to a non-report after a meeting that I could potentially have.
Okay.
But things seem to be going well. I know the new general manager is reaching out to municipalities and setting up meetings with CAOs. And I think most of them have been scheduled already. So there's sort of cooperation happening. And then the other thing I can add is that we don't have any further news on the consolidation, and we're expecting when they sit again later in March that we might have some action, but we're not hearing anything. So we can't pass anything along, unfortunately.
Are they preparing for the rain that's coming? It keeps changing. Yeah, go ahead.
Colin, who is the new general manager and where's he from?
So her name's Jeanette, Jeanette Levis-Smith. She has significant municipal experience down in like Burlington, southwestern Ontario. I believe she was the city manager there. And then right now she's the general manager at Orca, one of our neighboring conservation authorities. And then when the general manager position opened, it was identified as a potential shared service opportunity. And then after investigation, that's the route we took.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Can I have a motion to receive Colin's report? Moved by Ruthann, seconded by Jim O'Shea once again. We're gonna try to change it up today. You guys are doing it all. You're doing all the heavy lifting today. All those in favor? That's been received. Adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting of council that was held on February 17th. There are no errors or omissions. Can I have a motion to adopt? Moved by Jim O'Shea this time, seconded by Jim Whalen. All those in favor? Those minutes have been adopted. Consent agenda. We have, there's a couple of things I wanted to speak to. One is, well, the first one and the second one, and I'll do the second one first because Edward's actually going to have some information to provide on the first one. But just to let everybody know that the notice from the corporation of the Township of Perry, the resolution regarding reduced rate distribution for library resources, that has actually happened. The feds did confirm that they're going to keep the reduced postal rate for library resources, and also it's free, I believe, for resources for the blind as well. So they've maintained that. So it's a good news thing, but that we don't need to worry about supporting that resolution because it worked anyway. And then for number one, the resolution regarding Bell Fiber, Edward, I don't know if you want to come up and maybe speak to that a bit, but we are in a unique position because we have a bit of an expert here. But I think this is very good, very timely, and I'll let you talk about it, Edward. Go ahead.
Good morning. I think, with this resolution from the municipality of Magnata, we've had similar issues with our quoting and looking to get fiber access at our municipal offices. The pricing that Magnata has in their resolution is similar to what we've been quoted. So looking at upwards of $3,000 per month per location for just 1 gig service. So just as a comparable for business internet, same business internet Bell Fibe, for most businesses, it'd be between $100 to $200 per month. So looking at 15 to 30 times the price for the municipalities for basically the same level of service. In addition, our install costs have been quoted anywhere possibly from $5,000 to $30,000 per location as well, just as the installation charge as well. So
We're really lucky.
Unfortunately, with the accelerated high-speed internet program that ended at the end of 2025, that was through Infrastructure Ontario, we haven't heard any updates either about Lot 10 that funding was allocated for Rogers for fiber optic service here in North Kawartha, or Lot 35 that was allocated to Highlands East and work with the work related to Eels Lake as well. So this issue is still an ongoing issue, both for our townships and municipalities across Ontario, and something that I think needs to be prioritized both at the provincial and federal level as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's a real disconnect. Why would there be 10 times the cost or more for a municipality to access the service that for residents it doesn't? I don't understand it, but any questions or comments on supporting that resolution, endorsing it? You like it? You like it? Well, I mean, you don't like what they're doing, but do you like the idea of supporting this? Go ahead.
Absolutely. I was moving that.
Okay.
Support the resolution from Magnata.
Okay, perfect. Is there a second for that?
Okay.
Seconded by Jim Whalen. All those in favor? So motion to support Magnata resolution regarding Bell Fiber. So here's hoping, and I certainly will raise the issue with our MPP when we meet next. So that's great. I don't think there's anything else. Nobody indicated they want pulled from the consent agenda. So could I have a motion to receive the balance of the consent agenda? Moved by Ruthann, seconded by Jim O'Shea. All those in favor? The consent agenda has been received. Thanks, Edward. And Laura, you are back up now for planning. It's a staff report, consent application. It's an application for easement, I believe. Yep. And it's Eels Lake once again.
Very popular lake today.
Yeah.
So this is consent application B-123-25. It's for an easement. It is on Eels Lake. The property address is 358 Fire Route 73B. Recommendation is that council recommends that the County of Peterborough approves consent application B-123-25 for an easement or a right-of-way. The roll number of the property is 153602020314700, lot 33, concession 17. The owners are Robert and Lori Fox and Jeff and Raquel Mullen. It is zoned shoreline residential and it is designated seasonal residential. So this is just to legalize access for the property. The county doesn't give a whole bunch of information on the background of where it connects and that type of thing. So given that it is for access, I don't have any concerns in terms of planning. It's not going to be detrimental to the zone or anything like that. So I would recommend that council recommends approval.
Okay, perfect. Thank you for that. Any questions or comments, Jim?
This has to go through the county, doesn't it?
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes. So any consent application, which would be lot additions, lot severances, easements, that type of thing, it all has to go through land division.
Land division. Huh.
So you'll get it shortly.
I doubt if we get this one.
Oh, yeah, maybe just a sign off, maybe. Okay,
This is pretty simple.
all right, did you wanna
I'll
move
move the
the?
recommendation.
Okay, perfect, and Ruthann, you'll second that, all those in favor? That recommendation has been approved.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Laura.
much.
Okay. All right, and now it's like you guys are just like leapfrogging back and forth. Edward's back up now. We have administration staff reports, and the first one up is options for boundary signage along Highway 28. Please go ahead, Edward. Thanks for saving this for me, by the way.
My pleasure.
Good morning. So with this report, we're looking at getting staff direction regarding our boundary signage that is lacking currently along Highway 28. For background, currently the township does not have the official, I would say, blue MTO boundary signage along Highway 28. There are two versions of the boundary signage, the basic and enhanced. So within the staff report provided the examples of each and the MTO codes G314 and G15 that apply to those types of signage, and the examples from a couple of surrounding municipalities just to give reference. So this appears from looking at discussions that probably goes back to amalgamation 1998, that no resolution was passed by council at that point in time to ask for a boundary signage. And since there was no resolution request passed at that specific time, the MTO just has not installed a sign ever since. So that's kind of where this goes back to in terms of the signage, because as noted, the other hamlets and communities within North Core, like Burleigh Falls, Big Cedar, would you absolutely do have the MTO signage along Highway 28, but yeah, the boundary itself does not have the official boundary signage. So staff is looking for direction in terms of council, whether we're looking at the basic or enhanced. I will say that just with some discussions with the MTO and looking at other municipalities, we're not sure if the whole tagline that we have would fit on the enhanced sign. There, it is kind of limited in terms of the looks like about 3 to 4 words is kind of the word count that you can fit on the enhanced sign. They are kind of standardized in terms of the dimensions that in templates that you work with. So there is a lack, there's limited, flexibility in terms of what the enhanced signage. Those are installed by the MTO and provided through MTO contractors. So I should mention at the same time that we are looking to update our billboards, that the fire permit signs that we have along Highway 28, the fire department has, that have near the end of their life. And so it is possible that we could look at updating the branding and visibility on those signs, which are also at the boundaries, and use just the basic option in terms of boundary signage that the MTO would install and maintain at their cost, and look at other options in terms of having visibility at the boundary with the billboards instead.
Okay, all right, questions or comments for Edward? I'm not saying anything, I'm letting everybody else get a chance. Ola, you go.
I'll jump in. I like the standard one without the logo and the catchphrase. I think we can reinvest that $5,000 into redoing our ornamental one. That is difficult to see coming into town because it's kind of dark down to the side. If we use our new colors, have some more reflective paint, it would really pop. We can use our own catchphrase. We're not limited to the size dimensions that the MTO has. And I checked, the sign for this property was 4,000 plus HST. So it's not like we'd be breaking the bank comparatively.
Exactly. Jim?
I agree.
Okay. That's it, you're done.
You look at the township we have, like Belmont, Methuen, population 5,100, or, now do we put population in the later?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, yeah. We have like,
Or
like,
do we even bother with it?
you could put like a 1 in front of whatever it is.
Even the township of South Algonquin, and going by at 100 kilometers an hour, they don't have time to read these signs anyway, other than the name. I don't see spending the money on it, and I think the normal signs look great.
I'm just gonna say, if the tagline doesn't fit, I don't want the images, right?
It'd just be
So
without
just
the
the
spirit,
face.
it'd be without the spirit.
It'd just be connecting, that's
I
it.
think just community.
Yeah, that's- So it sounds like everybody's in agreement. That was exactly what I was thinking too. $5,000 to add on that one last little piece and put a logo. We could do something a lot nicer with the 5,000. And I agree with those fire signs. I know the MTO really wants consistency when it comes to sort of, whether it's like, the fire season and the ratings, and they want to have it be a certain way. And I think ours are a little bit different, but as long as there's an option, and I know our fire chief, when there was a fire ban, he goes out and puts signs up everywhere, and that's what I was thinking too. Even on our fancier signs or whatever, there's an opportunity to have a spot where you could put like fire ban in effect, when those things happen. Yeah, it's interesting. I never noticed before that we didn't have actual boundary signs from the MTO. Absolutely didn't have signs until about I want to say like 12, 14 years ago, because the MTO didn't realize that the Apsley Hamlet designation went across the highway until we asked and said, like, why does Big Cedar and why does, Woodview have a sign, but Apsley doesn't? And they're like, whoops, our bad. So we got signs. So, and here's another thing. So I absolutely agree. Let's go with the regular boundary and focus on our newer signs. But Colin and then Edward, and back to you.
And I'm not saying it's why it's done, but there's a very incidental side benefit of this program they're pushing right now, where aluminum is a heavily tariffed and impacted sector. A lot of our signs downtown are in rougher shape, and there might be potential to get the county to replace those, as that is supporting a particularly impacted sector.
That'll really help you.
There's a big
No, I agree with you, Colin.
a signing frenzy going on. Edward.
I was just going through council that if you're ready to make a decision today, that if council could just make a motion that council supports the request for basic boundary signage along Highway 28. So we have that as a resolution that can take that to the MTO.
Perfect. Okay, who wants to make that?
I'll move.
Well, Ruth Ann, I'll let Ruth Ann move it, but you can
Yep.
second it.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, so we're all good on that. We're going with the basic. All those in favor? That's proof. All right, thanks, Edward. I think you need to stay there, though. I don't think you're going anywhere yet. Wait, sorry, I don't.
I think it's there for a week.
Yes.
You better tell us.
For the week. Now, this next one, again, based on your expertise, this is a really interesting opportunity for us. So go ahead, Edward.
Through you, Mayor, to council. So this consultation that CRTC is conducting right now, 2026/9 mobile reporting standards. What the CRTC is looking at how the mapping and information is done regarding wireless services in Canada. So 3G, 4G, 5G predominantly now in Canada. What they're looking at is basically following more European standards, which are more detailed and more in depth than the current standards. Right now, basically the wireless carriers provide their own mapping data, which is not necessarily true what I would say the actual coverage is when you're actually there. So basically when you look at a coverage map from Bell, Rogers, whoever it is, it might say that there's coverage up on Eels Lake, but you get there and there's no, at your property. So what the CRT is looking at, having much more higher granularity of the data that's on there in terms of really understand, particularly for rural areas, what is the coverage that's actually being provided by wireless carriers and kind of the thresholds of that. Like, is it just enough for basic service, just a place to call, or is it enough for actual browsing of data, or is it enough to actually have a consistent high-speed connection for streaming or video conferencing? So, talking with one of my former coworkers, so I'm probably one of the only few in Ontario, if not in Canada, that's actually worked in the wireless benchmarking and optimization space, both for Bell and then providing consulting services for the other wireless carriers, both in Canada but in Europe as well. So I was requesting council that I would provide a letter on as a intervenor status to the township on this consultation to the CRTC. to bring up the issues identified in the analysis, specifically the resolution that's important for rural areas, addressing kind of the concern that we see here, the seasonal network congestion and quality of service. So particularly in the summer, like some people might have experienced either failed calls or inability to send text messages in the summer. And also the other aspect of emergency resiliency and mandatory outage disclosure. So in the United States, when a wireless carrier has an outage due to often during a tornado or hurricane, it has to be reported to FEMA and the FCC. And then there's documentation available for county, municipal, local government, county and state government officials for emergency management planning. They know how many cell sites are, say, not functional within an area. And currently we don't have anything like that in Canada, but we've seen from disasters that we've had here, including in the township, that having that information would be valuable, knowing how many sites are down and the estimated time as well that for restoration that we currently don't have from an emergency management perspective right now. So putting that within the consultation documents as well.
Yeah, it's a good point, actually. I was just thinking back to the ice storm, and I think we had some significant challenges that went all the way up even to the premier wasn't getting calls back from Bell. You asking what's going on here, right? So so you want to have a new title call and have it be intervenor status. We'll get him a new little pin for it, but I think it's great, Edward, the fact that you are very knowledgeable about this and can speak to the very real issues that folks face in our community. Because it's one thing to say, oh yeah, you've got 5G coverage everywhere, but no, we're going by the Sandman, I'm gonna lose you here, but just hang on, I'll be back, right? All of those places, right, where and certainly in the summertime, it can be a real challenge just because of the increase in usage. So they definitely need to understand that and be more accurate when it comes to that reporting, for sure. Anybody else have any questions or comments for Edward? Colin.
Is this worth sharing with other rural municipalities? Like, obviously, you're not going to act as intervener on behalf of the entire region.
I believe Roma has put out a communication through Roma, but I don't know how many other municipalities are going to respond at this point in time. So I know our request has been made, but I don't yet. And when I checked as of yesterday, I hadn't seen any municipalities file any application or responses as of yet.
Perhaps it would make sense for you to share whatever comments that you're going to provide or submission, share it with Roma so it could be shared. Because like I said, I mean, you are in a unique position having, have that experience and the knowledge of being in that particular industry that many other municipalities wouldn't have, but maybe just sharing that might be a good idea too, right?
I happily approve the recommendation because I really don't understand most of this stuff, but I do understand the real life impacts of it, and we do want those addressed.
Perfect. Yes, a copy to the county as well too. So the recommendations, council authorize the economic development officer to submit a formal intervention to the CRTC regarding notice of consultation 26-9 mobile reporting standard, and that that whatever information is provided be circulated to the county, and we said Roma too, right? Okay, and Colin, you'll make that? Okay, perfect. Seconded by Roseanne. All those in favor? That is approved. All right, thanks for that. So, all right, 2 so far. We're up for your third one.
Okay. So for the next report here, I have the community improvement plan update for 2026. So our community improvement plan committee has been meeting over the last year. We've started working on gathering feedback from previous consultations with the original CIP, discussions I've had with local business owners, looking in discussions with other EDOs and municipal representatives both within Peterborough County regarding their CIPs and out within the area as well. And looking at kind of just general trends in the local economy and with construction in the area, and have worked towards a new community improvement plan under the working name, the Local Investment Partnership Program. So the full draft was provided as an attachment. So I won't read the whole document here.
Thank you.
But some of the key changes are removing the loan programs out of the CIP. So we've had no applications for the loans. Through the CIP and with my discussions with local business owners, because of the threshold that we're at, it doesn't financially make sense in terms of undertaking the loan for that threshold. And there's other financial resources to provide those level of loans through Community Futures or Business Development Bank, which would be able to provide similar type financing. And as well, that would also alleviate any resources in terms of staff and legal costs for providing any loans moving forward. As well, the removal of the tax increment equivalent for rehabilitation or redevelopment or grants. Again, we have had no application for those. I've seen other municipalities have the tax increment grants be successful, but they've usually been for very large scale properties where the assessment base is, say, of a specific property is going from a couple $100,000 to $5, $6, $8, million, and wanting that phase in over a period of time. With the smaller level of the projects that we're doing, there's not likely going to be a very large impact to the actual CVA of the property itself. So we're moving that out of this specific program. The other one is a transition to fixed intake periods. So this would allow for clarity on the budgeting process for the staff and finance staff. And as well, that in terms of the committee meetings and being able to market the program target within a specific period of time, hold those meetings and improve the grants. We're hoping that with these changes as well, that there's additional uptake and that we'd be able to have those 2 intake periods a year, as well as moving to mandatory pre-consultation, as well, just to make sure that those that are interested that are eligible and just help them walk through the process. And as well, the terms of reference for the CIP committee that separately staff will look at bringing some housekeeping updates just to the terms of reference, clarifying some of the aspects in terms of meeting minutes, committee composition, the reporting requirements and procedure, and just delegation to clarify with and bring them in line with some of our other committees within the township. So at this time, the committee is looking basically for council approval to go out with this draft for public consultation. What we were proposing, probably similar to using the Engage platform, similar to what that we're using right now with the EV charger program. So basically put the draft documentation on the website prior for a period of 60 days, allow people to be able to view the document there and provide feedback. And then that feedback be taken back to the CIP committee to look at any additional changes to the proposed draft plan that we have here today.
Okay. Thank you for that. Questions, comments? Who wants to go? Jim?
Do you have any idea why we don't get any applications? It just seems funny that we're going to give money away and we can't give it away.
So currently right now, the dollar, so since the original CIP had been created, a lot of the construction costs have gone up considerably, sometimes 30–40%. So to get, say, $700 for a sign may not be enough for a business owner to undertake that investment when the sign is $4,000 or $5,000. Is one example, but the sign might be a small one, but some of those other major costs, like in terms of, say, renovations with windows or any energy efficiency or the facade where it's into the tens of thousands of dollars, if they're getting up to $1,500 on that, it's not enough to necessarily motivate a business owner to take the renovations. So the dollar levels have been changed to kind of more reflect the construction costs that are realistic today, and make it enough that, again, that the private owner is investing the majority of the funds, but enough to make it worthwhile to undertake that investment. Because with the discussions with the business owners and others, that properties that would be applicable to this program, it's just that the dollar value, say, for most of them wasn't enough to motivate them to undertake that investment at this point.
So follow up, so that's why you want to remove the budget amounts from the terms of reference. Do you want to be open to give more money than you can now?
Just like within the terms of that, on that line specifically, the dollar amount was in the terms of reference. And what we were just looking at is that would be, it's already covered in the annual budgeting process. So versus having the dollar amount hard within the terms, that it would just be part of the annual budgeting process that council's going through versus having it within the terms of reference.
But what, if I may, what changes, like, as you said, your example was $5,000 sign, you're gonna give them $700. Are you saying we'd like to give them $2,000 instead of $700?
This is up to 5, I think.
That's it, right, like, so within the program, the different streams, so for example, the facade one, so it was 50% of the eligible cost up to a maximum of $20,000. With the other major change is that there's a minimum in there. The idea is that moving away from the smaller projects and trying to incentivize business to undertake some larger projects on their property. Make it competitive, make it thorough, but also make it to actually, motivate people to upgrade their properties to undertake these projects versus just maybe something they were going to do anyway, and they might get a few more dollars towards it to actually make this make the program structure that it's enough to incentivize and undertake those projects on their property, but also hopefully make it competitive as well. That I'm hopeful that we can actually have multiple applications per intake and be able to weight it partially on who's investing the most into their property.
What's the current amount in the budget? What do we have?
Just under $20,000, I believe. So.
Okay, because the reason I asked that and I was looking, because I went through it all and it was showing like, depending on what it is, like you just talked about the facade thing, and it was up to 20,000, but as the minimum grant award would be 2,000. But under the building structural mechanical upgrade, you used to have it there, provide a grant of up to 50% of eligible cost to a maximum of 25,000. So I'm like, we don't have enough in our budget right yet. So, but I mean, I guess maybe that's your way of saying we're gonna put it up. Right?
At this point, we're not requesting an actual, because again, it's just preliminary in terms of the draft amounts. I think if there was support for this, then we would look at increasing that to 5,000, or we could possibly, if we actually had an application that met that threshold, come to the council at that point in time.
Exactly. You can always do that, and we could do a budget amendment. I did have another question though, when it came to the signage. Is there any rules around, does the signage have to be physically on that property, or would it be coverage, or provide a grant for, say, highway signage? If a business wanted to put a sign on Highway 28?
Through you, Mayor, I think the intention would be for specifically to the property itself.
To the property?
Yeah.
Okay. If they happen to be on the highway, right? So, but no, I was just thinking that, because I thought, because there is a lot of places do advertise on 28 and it ain't cheap. As we know, right? So, okay, those were the questions I think that I had. Anybody else, any other questions or comments on this? Colin?
Yeah, are you this is an unusual question, a voting member of the committee, or are you just the CIP?
No, so with the way it's structured, I'm not a voting member of it, partially because I'm bringing most of the recommendations, and so
It's always gonna be an aye.
I'd like to speak against it.
So for that reason, no, I'm not a voting member of the committee.
And I figured as much, but wanted to confirm, is there potential that you can help individual businesses once they say, oh, this is what I want to do that lines up with it, actually go through and fill out the application? One of my concerns is that it's actually the administrative burden. And then the second one, if we're going to be increasing the amounts this much, I think we need to be really prepared to spend a lot more money. Otherwise, one project could take the entire pot. And then if we're not refilling it, we've just picked one local business that we're going to put all of our support behind, which is difficult.
I agree. And that's what I was kind of asking about in terms of the budget. But I think that's why but on an annual basis, we would need to sort of replenish that pot. But you're right, like if it's at the first intake and it's a big one, then that's it for the year. Like, I don't know how you guys were thinking about that. Alana, I see you're turned on there, so you go ahead.
I think that's also, I think having the two intakes is a really good idea for that, because if you have an earlier intake in the spring and you really get a lot of activity and applications, then that gives you, maybe then you've spent all that money, then it's an opportunity to come back to council, whether or not you do a second intake, or is there more budget that we can do the second intake?
Yeah.
And, also to the point of, if it's only one or two businesses getting it, the whole idea of these community improvement plans is that, people start to see, oh, look what they did, now I could do that. So it starts incentivizing people and exciting people to continue the process.
That's great. And through Mayor, as part of the recommendations was the move of the pre-consultation. And so that pre-consultation would discuss the application process itself and to make sure that those businesses that are applying are eligible and meet the eligibility requirements. So the idea would be that there would be staff helping them through the application process itself.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Any questions or comments? So it's basically we're just receiving this for information, but you want to have, again, public consultation to see what folks are feeling, but this would be something that would be brought back to be implemented probably for the new year, like with the next budget stream.
Most likely at this point, yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's the recommendation.
With the recommendation.
Jim Whalen makes that recommendation. Who wants to second it? Colin, all those in favor? That's approved. 3 for 3. All right, here we go. Number 4.
So the next report is regarding the parking lot project at 143 Burleigh Street. So we've had multiple discussions with the county, which has been great to work with their engineering team. So we've got into more specific granularity now in terms of some of the details on the property. So one was regarding the EV chargers. So at this point, we're looking at just roughing in both for level 2 and level 3. So the county is going to engage a professional engineer to do the electrical drawings for the property. But the idea would be that it would be roughed in with the conduit that would allow for both the level 2, which would be most likely the first type of EV charger that would be installed. But if in the future there's the will to or desire to put level 3 chargers in, that the conduit would be there to allow for it, because that's what would be one of the major costs is digging up the asphalt again to put the conduit in. So relatively the cost is very, very low cost to have it in there and roughed in. So for future use, part of that would be that the conduit would run all the way to the rear property line through the center of the property. So again, allow for flexibility with different installation options. Looking at the stamped concrete that was identified in red or orange at the entrance and exit of the property itself, we're looking at a decorative coach style lighting for the property itself. So approximately 11 to 13 feet, but that would be also up to the electrical engineer just to confirm about the light standard height off the ground. We just gave an example of the concrete pole type that would also be used. From Stress Street, so those poles are very low maintenance. They would be black, low maintenance, with the banner option on the pole. So we could have a similar banner sizing to their current poles out there, and also with ground fault plugs installed, so we could use that for holiday lighting or possibly other lighting options as well in the future. Also too, with the property would have looking at a wood fencing at the rear part of the property along 149 Burleigh Street, approximately where their backyard is, and then using a black chain link fencing from that to the road itself. And black chain link fencing would be used elsewhere on the property where required as well, on the other 3 sides of the property. There is chain fencing galvanized in some parts in there, so we have to check about whether that can be used or has to be replaced, because there are some sections along the south extent of the property with galvanized fencing right now. I should say too that just through the recommendation of the CAO that we're looking at both for this, that the council received this report and direct staff to proceed with the next steps of tendering construction of the parking lot to be completed at 143 Burleigh. So just an amendment to the recommendation as well. The county is looking, we've had those discussions and we're ready to start working on the tendering documents for the project.
Okay, all right, thanks, Edward. Jim?
Yeah, the feds brought out a program about EV chargers. They're gonna pay us to put them in and everything, I think. Have you read anything about it?
Yeah, there has been again, now a new focus with the federal government on the EV chargers. So we've had significant feedback on our survey. Last time I checked, I think we had around 140, 150 submissions. So I think next month I can bring some staff report on that. But I think with that, we can look, now that we know that this is kind of moving forward, may look at which options we might be able to apply for that parking lot. But both the provincial government and federal government recently seem to have reaffirmed their interest in, expanding the EV chargers in the both provincially and federally. So we can look at those programs and how that might tie in with this specific property.
Perfect.
Anyone else got a question? Well, the other issue too is when it comes to that, it's not just about even the putting in of the infrastructure, it's the ongoing hydro costs, right? That also need to be looked at, but
They're metered though, aren't they? I mean, we don't pay the hydro costs. Doesn't the person who uses it pay?
well,
Through you, so generally,
I know there was something about
with with the level 3 chargers specifically, what we found is that there's with the level 3 chargers, with them you get into demand charges. So basically Hydro One charges you how much instantaneous demand there is on your usage at one specific point of time versus how much you're using on a per hour basis. Okay. And it was those demand charges that without high utilization may not be able to offset that with the hourly rate that we would charge for the level 3 chargers. And I think that was an issue that some other smaller municipalities saw. So it wasn't necessarily I would say the standard, kilowatt hour usage was the issue. Is specifically the demand charges that those level 3 stations were seeing that were not being able to be offset by the usage charges that they were charging for the stations themselves.
So basically like one person uses it in that month and then we're there.
You're there, yeah.
All right.
Can I just have one more?
Yeah, go ahead.
How long does it take to charge a car on number 2 and number 3?
There's a couple variables, but so a level 2 vehicle, so most level 2 chargers, it depends if it's a plug-in hybrid versus a pure hybrid vehicle. If it's a plug-in hybrid, most of them would be able to be charged within an hour or two, and I would give most vehicles somewhere in the 40 to 50 kilometer range. Again, there's kind of variables on the type of car. If it's a pure EV vehicle with a level 2 like a Tesla, they'd have to use, most of them have an adapter that might get them some range in terms of similar range, but it wouldn't necessarily fully charge a pure EV vehicle within that hour or two. So you would have to get into a level 3 to fully charge a vehicle, a fully plug-in vehicle like a Tesla or something within to get you that 400 or 500 kilometer range. You'd have to have a full level 3 charger to get, say, within an hour.
Thanks.
Anybody else? Yep, Colin.
It's very briefly something I wanted to make sure everyone was aware of. As of January 1st, the Ontario Energy Board has actually dropped the price for applicable level 3 chargers. So we'd only be paying 17% of the delivery fee, and it would be significant savings.
Yeah.
Given the fact that we're already reinvestigating, I think there's a chance to actually not just do the conduit, but put EV chargers in at this new parking lot. There's lots of alignment with federal and provincial spends right now. The only comment I had about the design is, if at all possible, what I would like to see is that middle bollard be taken out. We can reestablish that space somewhere else and use it for like greenifying or eating area. But having that middle bollard run all the way through there would limit the sort of usability of the space when it comes to if we wanted to do a farmer's market, large type event. We've got a physical barrier running straight down the middle of the parking lot.
Okay, well, I'll let you go and then Alana.
Through you, Mayor, I believe that with the level 2, I have to confirm, but with the code requires bullets around the chargers themselves, so vehicles don't come in contact with the EV charging equipment itself. That's why it's there. So,
And sorry, bollards problem, the actual cement pad. I understand these need to be put on something, but only having the cement pad come in from the street to the EV chargers and then not having the cement pad extend beyond there, just having that, what looks to be, and I could be totally wrong, but it looks like there's a physical barrier that would be running down the entire center area. If we can eliminate that, that really helps, but I don't know how possible it is to eliminate it.
I think we approved this design already, but Alana, you can
That's what I was
speak to
gonna
it.
say.
Yeah.
So this has come before council a couple of times before. And part of the discussion was that we did want to have that physical barrier and we did not want to use it for kind of eating and benches.
Yeah.
Because, you're having traffic coming in and out. It's a parking lot. It's keeping people from, driving through one side to the other side. And then there was maybe going to be consideration if there was a little bit of green space left, to the back or something like that. We could consider, an art like mural, or we could consider, benches if there is enough room. But that was part of the originally approved design. So that's why it's still there.
Can I ask about that though? Because we're also talking about, because like EV chargers at the front, but it's also, I thought we were looking at even maybe EV chargers at the back. Like, was it like, sort of like the phase 2's at the front or phase 3 at the back? Because the other thing I wanted to ask is whether or not you know how many lights that we would be required to have. Like, I know the design that you have, because I figured they're going down the middle, lights on either side. Like, is there any? That's where we're running the whole, like all the electrical, everything's going down that middle part. So for EV chargers, for lighting, for any other electrical uses that we tie into, it's through that middle spot. It's not down the sides of that property. Correct. Okay.
And Edward can probably speak to it better than I think there's either 2 or 3 lights.
there's 3 light standards.
3 light standards. And the reason that we wanted to run the conduit to the back, if we have the EV level 3, is because I think the transformers or the pieces are a lot larger and we need the space. Like there wouldn't be space there.
Right.
Put the 3. Yeah, maybe you can expand that better than I can.
So with the level 2 chargers, they would use a 240 volt. That transformer could likely be pole mounted, so it's not an issue to be a standard traditional transformer. With the level 3 chargers, Hydro One gives us 600 volts. That has to be converted as of right now to 480 volt. They're very large transformers, and they likely have to be pad mounted, and that would take up a significant space for those transformers. So there wouldn't necessarily be the space right at the front. So if we were looking at level 3, possibly those would have to be installed at the rear part of the property. So that's why the conduit is there, that in the future, if we had level 3, that those transformers could be installed at the rear of the property, and with a reconfiguration, possibly with the charging station somewhere near the back. But with the conduit there as well, with the electrical running through the center, based on the lighting design, we'll have to just confirm where the electrical engineer comes back with the lighting plan, but the wiring would kind of run to the middle there. It does give us some flexibility in terms of where the lighting can go. The EV station is shown in the diagram here next to the accessible parking lot, but those could be moved further down because again, it's more that the electrical is running through the center. So it's not necessarily that we have to have the EV spots right at number, next.
Yeah.
We do have flexibility there from where the charging equipment would go. So, and similar to the light standards as well, I think they can be moved slightly each way depending on the requirements.
Yeah, okay, I'll call him.
And she was answered already.
Oh, okay. Alana.
So basically what we're looking at today, we really appreciate the County of Peterborough Engineering, really helping us with this design and all the work and, the electrical, arranging for the electrical drawing. And we're hoping to get this out to tender through the county soon. We're really just looking, this will be the last time we bring it back to council.
Yeah.
From here on, staff will, meet with the neighbors, advise, discuss the fencing and just move forward with the tender.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to note, because it was in your report too, so the plan for the construction, if we get all the tenders effect, hopefully will be after Labor Day, so we're not trying to fix this or, create this parking lot, a proper parking lot in the middle of summer when it's being used, and it'll be a nightmare. But at the same time, having that knowledge, knowing that, we want to make sure to inform people, this is gonna be happening, where are all the other places they can park, and you and I did talk a little bit about, even like behind the old municipal office and bank building, right? There's parking back there, but the lines are really faded. Maybe we need to make sure any of those like public parking areas that we make sure that they're clearly defined, there's fresh paint on there, that kind of thing. Make sure the signage is in good shape so people do know where they can go to park as well. But I also wanted to echo what Alana said too. The county has been a huge help to us, and very grateful for their support. They really have done a great job.
I know you've got it in here, but you can do all of what you're said today within budget.
So you remember, I have no information that to make me think we can't as of right now.
But you think you can. Boy, that's nice to have somebody so positive.
He's got Judy watching over us, so there's pressure. Anyway, so there was the recommendation to receive the report for information and direct staff to proceed with, what was the wording?
So to proceed with the next steps, tendering and construction of the parking lot to be completed at 143 Burleigh Street.
That's it. Ruth Ann's gonna make that motion. Jim, you're gonna
Because I
second
couldn't
it?
remember.
Jim's gonna second it. All those in favor? That is approved. All right, thanks so much, Edward. And I'm looking at the time, it is 10:30. It's about the time that I called for a break. So that's what I'm gonna do, a call for a 10-minute break. We'll be back at 22. Okay, thanks, everyone.